Hello, my wonderful architecture class. I have to run out, but the substitute should have told you to check Canvas for your next lesson here, and we're going to continue page 8. I'm actually going to back up a little bit from where I helped you with the footing and the foundation wall. I know we got off on a little bit of a tangent with the old Miller Park, with live loads, dead loads, things like that, and other concrete forms and so on. So what we're going to do is go into our tools, and in the design tab, or right underneath the design tab, are your walls. So what we're going to look for is our standard 8-inch concrete block wall with a 16-inch footing, or basically the sidewalk that's going to walk around the perimeter of your home that holds the foundation. And if we scroll down, we can see it right here. Now, it's also, as I pointed out the other day, going to be in your content browser if you're more comfortable using the larger pictures, the Imperial, and into our walls, and then our concrete masonry units. And I do believe we were scrolling through and hit page 4 when we finally found our 8x16 footing with the 8-inch wall. So we're going to select that and hit insert in the drawing. Now I'm going to scroll over here and I'm going to trace the perimeter of my home minus the garage. So we went kind of through the garage and determined that really there's no basement underneath the garage. So I'm going to continue this perimeter just for my home. And just like any wall, you get close and you drop and it cleans up. Now, it's not perfect by any means. We're going to have some adjustments because the walls are not setting perfectly on top of that block. Your walls should be 6 inches and your form, your foundation wall here, is going to be 8 inches. So those are going to need some minor lining up. If they're off a little bit, that's okay. A long time ago when we did the cabin, we had grabbed one of the grips and we dragged it down and we entered a distance. So we need this wall to line up with the outside of our 8-inch wall. So it's the outside that's going to be flush, not the inside. So if I click on this and I drag my wall up and I put it on the outside of my wall, you can see that, yeah, my foundation's sticking over. I don't want that. I want it the reverse. So unfortunately, because the grip is on this side, I'm going to have to drag it down and manually type in the number 2 for 2 inches. You don't need the inch symbol, and select enter. And now it's flush with the outside perimeter of the home. And you're going to continue that process through each of your walls. So if I click on this and bring it back into my wall and then back it up and enter 2. Now my home wall is flush with the outside of my foundation. You do that for all the other ones. After you're complete with that, you can go to a 3D orbit and kind of see what it looks like. Obviously, it's kind of stuck within the walls, and we need to drop it down a little bit just for our viewing purposes right now. So I'm just going to grab all these, and then I'm going to adjust those heights. And if you don't hit them all at once, that's okay. And I'm going just to go to a regular old move, click on this corner, and I'm going to move it all the way down, even with the outside of my home. Now, if I go to an orbit, you're going to be able to see that it's resting on top of a foundation, and now I have my basement wall. Like I said, keep the stairs. We'll probably end up forming stairs going to the basement from this side, going down one way or the other. Now, the walls themselves, if I double click on any wall, the properties come up, and you can see that we're looking at a base height of 10 feet for a foundation wall. That's pretty darn tall. Okay. If we went the standard course basement or height, and I mentioned this the last time we met, it is 7 feet dash 4 inches. And then I'll have to obviously readjust the walls accordingly to meet back up with my home. We'll most likely get rid of the home walls. So if I went to an orbit or a straight on front view, and I highlight all the walls. Now, mind you, one of them I changed. So when I scroll down here and it says base height varies, I'm just going to click in that field, type in 7 feet dash 4. You could include the inch symbol if you wanted to, if you feel comfortable. I'm just going to keep it at the 4 and select enter. Escape. And they're all 7 feet 4 inches. That's your standard basement height. I would suggest doing that only because for our purposes, it's going to be a little bit easier to form stairs going into your basement. Right now, I'm not going to raise these up to the level of my home. I'm just going to go back to a top view and focus on my garage. We talked about how a garage doesn't really have a basement under it. When you excavate or when you dig for a home, you do want that large cavity for your basement for multiple purposes. Things to, obviously have some type of living area. If you ended up having an older home, yeah, you got a short basement, but the accommodations that were necessary down there were your furnace, your hot water heater, all your duct work, your pipes, your electric, system, your service panel, and so on. So all that had to be housed somewhere, and that somewhere was in that cavity we call a basement. And of course, over the years, it was, well, we can make this more of a livable space, a rec room maybe, and kind of shove everything off to one side when it comes to the hot water heater and furnace and so on. So this is an important step of having the foundation, having a basement ready to go, because when we meet next, we're going to start talking about where the water heater goes, where our furnace is going to go, where our electrical is going to be run from throughout the home. So there's our foundation walls. Now, with the garage really not being much of anything, what we're going to do is still put a foundation wall, but we're not going to go that 7 feet 4 inches into the ground. But we do need to go into the ground. Now, this time I'm going to use my tool palette. I'm going to come back here, same wall, 8-inch, 16 by 8 footing. And I'm going to drag just around the garage. And once again, don't have to be perfect the first time. We can make those adjustments as we go. Obviously, this would be the same thing. Drag it out, enter your distance of 2 wherever your wall lies. These are justified, looks like, on the outside. So I got lucky with that one. Ooh, that's my wall. So I'm just going to drag those out. Nice. Missed that one. No, this is justifying from the footing, so I'm going to have to drag that out too. Okay, not sure why that was the case. But anywho, regardless here, what we're going to do is change these then to a minimum of 4 feet high, and then raise those walls up. So if I go to my rightmost properties, or I could just double click on one window and scroll down, base height now is 4 feet. Now, why 4 feet? 4 feet is the requirement in the Midwest for being below the frost line. With the earth shifting when it comes to ice, snow, heat, and so on, we are below to a point with your footing and foundation for your garage walls that will not allow shifting or cracking if it's 4 feet. This is the same thing when it comes to a deck. A deck you also don't want, and I'm just going to shift it up. It might need some adjustment later. But a deck is the same thing. You do not just put a deck on the ground. You do put posts or a foundation or some type of concrete to suspend that deck above your property. So this is the same concept, is that we have to have some type of footing, some type of foundation to support all the weight that comes with your garage, specifically the walls. Within that area, obviously, you would pour a garage slab right over your gravel base, and that's where you park your cars. But there's never any real true basement, so it'd be a lot of dirt in here after the excavation. Get everything to pour the get the dirt back in there, backfill, get the gravel in there, pour your garage, and then obviously we start building the home itself. So there is your foundation for the home. To move on, and you can stop, pause this video anytime you want to work, but I would expect you to have most of this done within those 85 minutes allotted. We're going to now, I'm going to use, this is going to be a little bit easier, I'm going to go back into my taskbar here and open up my catalog here. Go back to Home, Imperial, and scroll down through here, and you're going to see a lot of different types of things that that we really haven't gotten into yet when it comes to the structural component. You can see that there's going to be things like electrical, okay? Things like our heating, venting, air conditioning controls, and our air distribution, and so on. If we get into our structural, and we go, well, let's just take them one at a time. And you can see that there's joists in here, and this is more of the commercial end. If we back up and go into our members, okay, you can see that there's going to be things like beams and columns or bollards, that there's going to be other pilasters or columns that might hold up a roadway or a basement wall. And we can get into things like our beams that we need for our structure. Okay? So there's a lot of different things within the tool catalog. Okay? We could also use our little tool palette here, and you can see through the design here that you're familiar with, where it says wall and door and window and so on. Might be a little bit easier to follow that with a beam. Now, when you put a beam in your home, what you're doing, just like the outside walls, your outside foundation walls, those are supporting the outside. If you don't want a big bow in your home, you need some support. And that support comes with your beam system. If I select beam and I find the longest stretch of my home, which in this case it's going from here. Sorry, I should have clicked and held. Click, hold, and drag all the way across. I very well may have my perpendicular. No, I do have perpendicular on, and it's still making it wiggle. I'm going to just drag it. It's not going to go. I think I clicked on the end of this beam, so I'm going to go back to my beam, go back to my midpoint, and drag out. There we go. Okay. So all I did was click, hold, drag, and I'm going to bring this back. Now, that system, and I apologize, I don't know what happened there. I know I got a couple here that I have to delete. Okay. Now, if I were to look at this in a 3D, now I'm going to get rid of my walls. But make sure you have everything lined up with yours. That beam system is once again, going to be supported. I'm going to keep my stairs in there. Is going to be supporting everything that that you have above it when it comes to the middle of your home. So anybody that has taken the construction course knows that there's going to be a floor frame. So going from foundation wall to foundation wall, there's going to be what are called floor joists going across, supported by the beam system. In construction class, we don't have that. We have a floor underneath, but you do have to support that that middle of the structure. Now, in turn, we have to support the beam system with our columns. So if I go back to a top view, I'm going to start with a column, and fortunately, I can just select the middle. I'm just going to pop one in. I'm going to go back to a 3D view just so you can see it. Of course, once I stuck on it, it's stuck from the bottom, so I'm going to move this back down. I'm just going to grab the middle and move it back under. And so it's going to take a little bit of fancy footwork to get it centered out. Okay. 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 A little bit of snaps and bring it back down. Okay. So now I know it's an odd, really, here we go, right? Oh, my, yeah, of course that's in the way too, my little screen sharing. So I'm so sorry. Giving yourself a foot. Yeah, I accidentally. Yeah. Fingers slipping today. Okay, so now that we have our posts finally underneath there, I'm going to go back to a wireframe just so you can see where the post is. And I know, once again, it's an odd number, very odd number, but 9 feet, 3 inches is going to be the distance between those columns. So if I just take a line, 9 feet dash 3, enter. There's where my next column is going to be. So what I'm going to do to make sure that these stay on the same plane, I'm going to bring this down to the level I need. Or if you get fancy, you could do like a mirror or something. Lunch bell. And copy it over. There it is. Or once again, if you wanted to do a fancy schmancy mirror, I guess I could grab this one, go up to home, go underneath modify, go to my mirror, select the midpoint, flip it around, enter. On the side, for me, it's very possible that I might need one more. However, with this and the support of the beam, I will most likely add what's called a pilaster, or a very small bump in the concrete, to also in turn support the beam. Some of you, depending on the construction technique, would have, if you look in your basement, how that beam sets. There could be a notch in the concrete foundation wall. There could also be, once again, what's called a pilaster, or a little bump out of the wall. And I'm going to change my wall style to my concrete masonry unit and bring out and my footing is not showing up. But that's the gist of a pilaster, is to be able to pull that out a little bit and support that beam. So that kind of doubles as one of our columns, one of our posts in the basement. So very similar to, and I'm just going to delete this just for a minute, the stairs. But if you were to walk into your basement, you would be able to see, and looks like the mirror didn't work too well, or the copy with those other ones. You'd be able to see so those, yeah, we have to get those down. You'll be able to see all those posts, columns, and so on in your basement. Okay, you don't want to kick those things out. Those are definitely a support system for your home. So just to fix that, just quickly, and yeah, that's exactly when my footing wasn't showing up. That was going haywire also. Don't forget to use some of those little tricks I've taught you, some of those techniques. Like this, I can already tell, I don't know why it dipped, but it's a foot down. If I highlight, right mouse, Basic Modified Tools, move, click in my blank screen, select 12, and bring it back up. I can also see how far of a distance I am away from here to the beam. Looks like I'm 9 feet. Keep that in the back of my head. Highlight these two, right mouse, Basic Modified Tools, left click on move, click anywhere in the blank screen, drag straight down, type in 9 feet, enter, and there they are. Now we can kind of visualize how those are a little bit better. There we go. Okay, and then yeah, I bring the pilaster down also. If you have any questions, obviously keep them in the back of your head until Thursday, and I will be returning. But I do want to see the page 8. I'm going to walk around on Thursday and see how page 8 is going, and hopefully you're this far or further. Some people still need to submit other pages up to the point of page 8. Please get those things in. Seniors, any seniors, I have you for single digits now, 9 days, and that's it. Okay, I will see you, including today in video form. I will only see you for 9 more times for architectural design. Okay, how far we get is how far we get. Okay, but continue to work diligently to get this work done. Thank you, and I will see you folks on Thursday.